Hey there. Let's see if I can fix this. Maybe I can move over this way. Anyway, hey, it's Bridget Lynn Dolgoff, Urban Farm Project, and Conscious of Economics, or Urban Farm Project YouTube channel. Okay. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the colon this morning. Sometimes I know too much stuff and I don't get it all out. But since I'm kind of focused back kind of in private practice, that's alternative practice, I thought maybe I would make short videos on health. All right. So your colon is considered your second brain. People can contemplate on that if they want to contemplate on that, and what that means. So, for example, if you have a tendency to have blocks or constipation and things in your colon, you can think, I have blocks in my thinking, I have blocks in my energy field. Not filtering things, congested, stuck. So also too, your colon is really long and it has, several parts to it. And think about like if something gets stuck in there. It is constantly on those meridian lines, energy lines. I mean, really, your colon's a whole live living vessel, and it has lots of energies in it. So if you get something stuck, like in your colon spot, and it's trying to work, or it sticks it in a way that it can't work, it starts to adhere, more parasites and bad things that you're eating and things that are going on in your system, like candida, start to actually accumulate around it. And candida can actually grow roots. And I studied with a guy who was, I think he worked on the colon or with the colon or did research, but he got out of the medical field to practice alternative therapies. And I had, back when I had my brain tumor, and one of the things I was doing was fixing my colon. And I ended up taking a whole bunch of pleomorphic medicines. And I literally expelled out after taking a whole bunch of microbes that return the candida being back into a balanced, healthy microbial being, from a bad, gone rogue microbial being. But this thing had grown roots, like they were like even white roots, and they had grown into my colon lining. And it took, I don't know, I think about 6 rounds of the candida before it came out. And it literally looked like a hatchling, like a duck, a baby duck, white, that would have had white feathers, white mass, that didn't have a shell on it, kind of duckling thing that came out of my colon. So, all this stuff, these blocks and stuff can accumulate, and those roots can puncture, called leaky gut. Also, if you have heavy parasitic problems, the parasites can burrow in and out of your colon lining, which will give you leaky gut as well. Anyway, so you get these blocks, the roots grow up through your colon. They can grow up into, like, say, your kidneys and all that. And they can actually start creating tension in your body. pulling down inside. So a lot of those muscles and organs are being pulled together. They're not working, which can cause lower back pain, can cause structural issues long term. But anyway, so your colon is your second brain. And if you have blocks in there, also if you have the opposite, you have irritable bowel syndrome, salad shooter. I get a lot of people that have that because they have their sacrum's really twisted actually to one side. So, their colon is just open. And that can, we can think about that for a minute too. So the people aren't processing. There's no filtering of information or data. What comes in just goes out. And, so how that thinking is. So there's nothing retained. It means we're just running for it, right? We're in the future, not in the present moment. Because we're not digesting, utilizing, nutrient out of what we're ingesting. It's just going through over and out. Okay, so, in my practice, people that end up kind of moving into kind of a mental illness category, or like a lot of anxiety or mild hallucinations, or kind of going over to the edge and the crazy. I'm not saying that it can help all people, but if you can get your colon cleaned up, and one of the things that does it is, putting really healthy microbes, in your system, and all kinds of different kinds of microbes. And in this day and age, you can go to organic food stores and you can find fermented foods everywhere. You can find fermented vegetables everywhere, fermented raw cheese, fermented raw yogurts, raw milk, fermented raw kefir, kombucha, as long as it's raw and organic, so it's actually creating new culture, which is bacteria microbial processes, and you can apply that into the gut. And it can help a lot, because what you're doing is you're putting healthy microbes and a healthy microbial process into your body, which is giving your second brain a lot of information and data, and helping the microbes that have gone south through too much sterilization and food sterilization, homogenized and pasteurized. But usually fermented foods, whether it's a kombucha, raw veggies, products, you could even get cultured raw organic butter. You could get cultured raw organic cottage cheese. You could get cultured cheese, raw cheese. Like I said, raw, like raw organic yogurt and kefirs. You can find something out there that, and it's good to eat a variety of it, like with the raw vegetables that you can buy. That are fermented, you can just, all you need is like 2 tablespoons serving with everything that you're eating. And that will go in and help to provide, new information and data to the system. So because you are, the Bible says, from the earth you came and the earth you will return. So our bodies are, like compost, like dirt. And we live in a really sterile world all around us. And our guts become sterile. And when the gut becomes sterile, the thinking from the gut, or people call it intuitive. Sometimes the intuitive is off, and it's not intuitive. It's a gut reaction due to kind of a mental illness process that's happening due to the colon, the second brain, being so far off base because it's in degenerative microbial process, which is decomposing. So another thing I found with fermented foods is, on average, they have tons of B vitamins. Like if you look at the back of a kombucha, tons of B vitamins. The only way that you can get B vitamins is B vitamins are bacterial. And there's a misconception that as a vegetarian or a vegan that you can get B vitamins from plants. Well, the type of bacteria that plants have on them are usually washed completely off before you even buy them in the mainstream. Believe me, I've interned on farms, and we try to wash the produce as least as possible, but it still gets washed quite a bit. So the natural bacteria that would be on it are, number one, either no longer there unless you're growing it yourself, and number two, are not digestible by humans. Now, animals can thoroughly digest the bacteria on plant foods, but humans can't really digest it. So you need to add fermented foods. And if you're a vegan, you could do kombucha. You can do, all the awesome little raw fermented vegetables they have, and things like that. So, you're good to go. But what happens is when you get too much gut reaction, too much of that going on, you're in the mental illness state. So that usually starts coming on from lack of B vitamins. B12 actually coats all of your nerve endings. So if you don't have enough B vitamins, you're raw. I mean, you're emotionally raw, you're mentally raw, you're physically raw, you're just like a hot wire. You're just raw and exposed. So if you start getting these microbes back into the game and getting your colon adjusted to healthy microbial processes, and get it turned around, then you're going to have a lot less mental illness, anxiety, gut reaction, a lot of this other stuff. You're going to have a lot of B vitamins that are soothing the body. So natural B vitamins are bacterial rich. So then there's this whole idea about, well, how do they make a dry B vitamin? Well, they can't really. I mean, no, there are no nutritional supplements on the market that replace the food that you could eat to get those nutrients. So it's so much better to get fermented, raw, natural products and start eating them to get your B vitamins than to try to take a B vitamin supplement, because it's just not going to be the same. And microbially, people... One of the things that I've really been learning since I went back to school for farming, biodynamic farming and nutrition and just food as medicine in general, is that, we can somehow get away from eating the food, but the food has microbes in it. If it's raw and it's fresh out of your garden, it has microbes. It still has a relationship to the earth and the microbes that were there in the earth. So we are a vast amount. I think I read somewhere, like if we have 50,000 trillion cells, jamming in our, making us a solid, vessel matter at any given time. I think they said something there's 50, million microbes tending to each cell. So you start to go, the chicken or the egg? The microbe or the cell? Microbe. Woohoo. What came before the cell? Microbe. So we have to feed our microbes and get new microbes in our body. So we're on the healthy side of the microbes eating and cleaning up, just like in a compost, the old materials in our bodies, in our blood and everything. And then also the microbes helping keep the cells and all this other clean and keep everything regenerating. So we got to feed the second brain, which is the gut. And once you get more microbes and stuff in there, you get B vitamins jamming in there. What you're going to find is your thinking here is going to be clearer. You're going to be emotionally clearer. Now, it may, and physically clearer. So it may not solve all the problems that we each individually have, but it can start checking some of these smaller issues off of your, removing them off your dish so that you can get to the root of whatever your issues are. So anyway, that's all I got for you today. Microbes and fermented B vitamins in the gut, in the second brain, help you get over some major hurdles. Anyway, have a great morning. Bridget Lynn Dolgoff, Conscious of Economics and Urban Farm YouTube project. And I hope that helps you. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.